Okay, welcome back to video 12. I can't believe we've already done 12 of these things. Today's video we're going to be talking about how to edit a person and the user control that goes along with that. First, let's take a look at the application and show you where that user control is used. Of course, as user control we can use it anywhere, but in our application it just so happens it shows up in a particular place. And we've got the form here in this beautiful way. We can go to admin and user maintenance, drag it down here where you can see it. Now, I'm an administrator and this form knows it. It's smart enough to know it, so it shows me the search control for users, and it also shows me the user info over here. So I can bring it up in two modes where I can search for Max, and notice it starts to search automatically for me. I'm going to select Mad Max 2, double click, and it fills in Mad Max 2, and I can edit Mad Max 2 and change his or her password. Saved successful. Go back to Mad Max 1 just to show you it's working, and it is working. Okay, so that's one way to do it. The second way to do it is to go to admin and edit my info. In that case, we pass it through the constructor, the person who's logged in at that particular time. We pass the info and we fill it in, and we can change our dollar sign, change our information and do what we need to do. No big deal at all. So what we're going to be talking about is this part of the screen right here, because this form is nothing but the coordination of two user controls, which is the beauty of it. There's not a lot of code behind this form, probably less than 20 lines of code, maybe less than 10. And these two user controls work in concert, and they do all the magic for us. So let's take a look at this one today, the edit user control. First of all, on the user maintenance form, to prove to you it's not all smoke and mirrors, you can see that if I click on the right side of the screen, it tells me it's a user controls.edit person, and it's got an event for the load and none other. On the left, we've got the one we already talked about, our person search control, which had an event that fired when we selected a person. And in that event, we sent up the person which was selected. So it just makes sense that if we're going to write an edit person control, which we have right here, that the first thing we do is we add the person object as a data source to our project. And we did that right here under data sources. And I don't want to drag that thing anywhere. We just right click and you can add a new data source. I chose an object. I chose next. And I chose my middleware, my BLL. And I chose my person DTO and hit next. I've already done it, so I'm not going to do it again. It shows up here. Right now it's got a grid selected. I could check it easily and change it to a details view. Now it's a details view, and I could drag it on there. And I'm going to get along the top a annoying bar. I wish I quit doing it. But this 1 of 4, 1 of 5, 1 of 5, you just click that, delete it. Down here you get your binding sources, what we care about, and it takes care of all of our bindings here on our checkboxes and text boxes. Why does mine look different than yours, we might be asking? Well, that's DevExpress. I've tried to not do DevExpress so that everyone can compile these, and I keep checking my references to make sure that these DevExpresses aren't there, but as you can see, they have popped their ugly heads up. So before I check this code in, I will be removing those DevExpress references. But we'll go ahead and go through with our demo here. So let's look at the code behind this, and we'll see there's not a lot to it. If we think about this logically and think about what we need to do, we need to accept a person data transfer object in, bind it to the control, and let them make their little edits, and then when they click save, pass that person data transfer object to the middleware, save it, bring it back, because if it's a let's say they were adding new or something like that, we need the new primary key, assign it back to itself. So we provide a public function here called initialize the control. And what this does is it takes that person data transfer object as a parameter, and we just say, look, up here we've got some properties, the person being edited. We say the person being edited is that, the binding source, its data source is a person being edited. We prepare the GUI. All that does is a little bit of security check here. If you're a manager, we allow you to assign managers and to delete users and to promote someone to a manager. If you're not a manager, obviously you can't do this. So we prepare the GUI and then resolve manager. Well, we need to go out there first and we need to look and we need to go out to the middleware and say, who is this person's manager? And then we pass that object to the utility class and we say, get the display name for that person. And if you'll remember this utility class, if I go to its definition, focus, where is it? Here it is. It was a long day at work, so I've been coding all day. We've got the get display name for the person, and we go in here and we say, okay, well, the result is empty. Go out and format the first name plus the last name and return it. Why don't we overload the toString? Well, remember the person data transfer object is supposed to be stupid, right? So we're not going to overload any methods. We're not going to do anything like that. This utility class's job is to do all the dirty work for us statically. Okay, so that's that. And so that's why we were able to see when I went in here, it may make a little more sense now. Log in, start without debugging, and I go in here and I go to user maintenance, and I'm going to type MAX. Double click Mad Max, and notice how the manager's name is here. And it looked and saw that I was a manager, so I can change a manager. If I click change, the user control search comes up again. I'm going to say Bortel, B-O-R, and it should find me. There I am. But I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to close the form. Well, it's smart enough to say, well, you know what? You closed it. You didn't change it. You closed it. But if you wanted to clear it, you can. I'm not going to. But that's how you do that. And these are enabled. So you see that in action one more time. So after we've set up our data binding, which we did by dragging it onto the form, we got that for free, and we set that data binding object's data source to a person DTO. We set up the GUI for security. We resolved the person's manager so it showed Dean Bortel instead of number 1, 2, or 3 as in the referential integrity of the database. The only thing really left to do is respond to the button save event, right? So when they select save, we're going to set the last updated and the updated date to now and me off of the form. And then we're going to say in a try catch, we're nicely going to go out and say, look, person.savePerson, the person being edited, but we're going to assign it back to itself. And remember why we do that. We do that because it could be an insert, right? This thing could fire off and go try to insert something. So if it does, we get a new primary key from -1. When after we save, we should get something greater than 0, right? So that's why we assign it back to itself. And then we show a message box saying, hey, Jack, everything's good. We saved it. Otherwise, we show an exception and say, whoops, something went wrong. The other thing we do on this user control you saw me do was where I select the manager, nothing magic there, the user search form. And if we go look at this user search form, the user search form is probably going to contain what? The user search form is probably going to contain a user search. There's that magic Visual Studio 13. It just contains a user search control. And if we look at the code behind it, nada. All we do is expose the selected person, get and set the selected person to the person they selected if the event fires on the user control, and then close the form. Simple. Elegant. And that's what we look for here. We say, look, if the selected person isn't null, meaning they selected someone in the list, we set the manager ID, because we do need that ID for referential integrity in the database, to the selected person. And we set the label equal to that utility class's get the display label. Pretty cool, right? And then if they do the clear, we do the manager ID equals -1, because the middleware is going to take care of setting that for us. And the manager text to none set. And that is it, folks. If we look at the constructors, there's one where you send the person to edit. Where do you think we call that one from? How about the edit my information off the main form? If we look at the main form, remember how when we went to the, and there's the beauty of Visual Studio 13 once again. If we go to the admin and we go to edit my info, how do you think we got the data over there? We passed the identity of me, who's logged in, to the user maintenance form through the constructor. And then we showed it. And that's reflected here in the code. The constructor where we pass the data transfer object, and then we resolve the security, which in the resolve the security, we do a few things, which we're not going to go over yet because this will be a video. And we initialize the control right here. That sets up the edit person control with the person we want to edit. So really easy stuff. And that's how we're designing this thing, so that anybody in support can maintain it. We could write all this fancy code, and you hear people going, oh, I can do this and I can do that. But at the end of the day, it comes down to maintainability, right? So hopefully this showed you a little bit. I'm going to fix those references so that people aren't getting DevExpress. Hopefully you didn't download it today and you're getting all these can't find DevExpress errors. I'll fix that for you right quick. Check in the code and I'll get this video posted. But as always, I ask you, please subscribe to the channel. Click that subscribe button up there. It's up there right now. And support the channel. We love making these videos. I personally love making these videos, helping people out there out. We put up 1 or 2 a week and going to continue to do so from now on. So there'll be hundreds of these, perhaps even by the time you watch this video. So it's always humbling to see the numbers and to see the people coming to watch it. So again, thank you for your time. Thank you for your attention. And above all, thank you for stopping by. We'll talk to you next time.